51 years ago, John F. Kennedy declared to this chamber that the Constitution makes us not rivals for power, but partners for progress. It is my task, he said, to report the State of the Union. To improve it is the task of us all. Tonight, thanks to the grit and determination of the American people, there is much progress to report.
A very confident president speaking last night at a State of the Union address. Joining me right now to talk about some of the issues that were talked about, some of the issues maybe not talked about. Political analyst John Dadian is here to recap. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
We just heard a word, Senate, you said you thought there were some missed opportunities last night.
The State of the Union is his opportunity. He's got the attention of the country to really hit it out of the ballpark, and I just didn't see that. And this is his first State of the Union of the second term. It really was. He should have been hard-hitting. He should have done real bullet points. This is what we're going to do. I really didn't hear that.
He did talk about issues, whether or not he actually brought out how to solve them, is a discussion. But higher minimum wage, he says it needs to go to $9 an hour. Your impression of that?
Again, that plays very well to his base. But you saw, I always like to people watch during the State of the Union. And if you saw right behind him, the vice president jumped up clapping and Speaker Boehner didn't move a muscle. So he's going to get a lot of opposition to that from the business community, because the slippery slope on the minimum wage is if you pay person A a higher wage than he's earning right now, that might mean you have to lay off person B. And that's what he didn't address.
The argument, a lot of the argument is just the very role of government itself. Him saying things like we need to make sure that the government works on behalf of the many, not just the few. The Republicans firing back, more government isn't going to help you get ahead. It's going to hold you back.
And that's one of the basic differences in the philosophies of the different type parties. Republicans believe the government that governs best governs least.
Let's talk about the economic reform that he's talking about. Was he specific there, or was he in general terms?
He wasn't. I mean, the phrase that he said was the State of the Union, which is the title of the speech. The State of the Union is strong. I know a lot of businesses that would disagree with him. And clearly, I think he has to be very careful, because even though it might be a little bit better than it was 4 years ago, if it doesn't improve in his second term, that's going to be his legacy. Forget gun control, forget immigration. If that economy goes in the tank within his second term, that will be his legacy.
Well, let's talk about that gun control, though. A very emotional moment when he kept repeating that all these different people need a vote. It deserves a vote.
And again, I hate to use an old cliche in politics, but what you really saw was a lot of sizzle and no steak. If you look at all the what the provisions that came out in the vice president's recommendations, most of them are not going to happen through Congress. And so this is really a lot of show. Emotionally, you saw the reaction is very well. I thought it was pretty interesting. What was very little reported in the media was on the opposite end, the opposite argument. Ted Nugent was president for the State of the Union, which the last time I checked, he's not in favor of gun control.
Yeah, he was invited by one of the senators there, right?
And it was controversial. A lot of people called for him to be disinvited.
Let's talk about the thought of compromise. I mean, some of the words that he gave leaned toward bipartisanship, but the other side of him, there was very little yield there, it seemed like.
And again, another cliche, you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? This is his second term, so has he really extended the olive branch and tried to work on the other side? Most analysts, pretty much uniform across the country, don't see that. The Republicans think he's a little too hardline almost on every issue. If he wants to change that, it'd be very nice to see. I just don't see it happening, realistically.
What's next in order? I mean, we're talking sequestration coming around the corner March 1st.
I mean, just a couple of weeks. That's huge. But as far as all the issues that he talked about yesterday, the one that I do think is going to be have movement is immigration, because the interesting part is it's really not coming, even though they try to say so from the White House. There is a group in both houses of Congress that are really going to get it, and it's a bipartisan group. That's why I'm very optimistic. I think you will see some real immigration reform, and that the president can take credit for that, and that's okay with me. But as long as there's some movement, and I predict that will happen in the next several weeks.
That'll probably be the first compromise we see that actually works out.
I think so.
Gun control. Are we ever going to see a vote on an issue like this?
Well, not on more the most controversial ones, such as you won't see an assault weapon ban, et cetera. I doubt you'll see a clip, a limit, et cetera. The background check, that might be the one thing that can get through Congress that the president, and again, what they'll do on that one, which is, again, okay with me, they'll declare victory and go home, even though it didn't get. But if you look at all the provisions of the vice president's report, it said they could do it by executive order, but there's no teeth to it. There's no actual meat to it. It's just more of a feel-good type provisions.
Any other positives? I know on Afghanistan, he said the troops are, most of them will be home by next year.
Again, sounds good, but I got to tell you, I gave pause to that because, of course, we remember since the wars have kicked off, the famous phrase when President Bush said mission accomplished, and then we were embroiled for, so many years since then. So he has to be very careful. I'm very concerned if we are completely out in 2014. What do we do? I have not heard the contingency plans about what if that country does start crumbling, what if the Taliban comes back, et cetera, et cetera. They've given a little lip service, but they need a real contingency plan. If they have one, which I'm sure they do, it hasn't been revealed yet.
That'll be something else in the State of the Union next year, I'm sure, as well.
And a year will come by quite quickly.
John Dadian, thank you very much.
Very good to see you.